Hey, what's up, people? How's it going? Sorry for the delay, man. I for some reason the title and thumbnail didn't get saved, so I had to go back in and redo the thumbnail. Then I had to share it on social media and all that stuff. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. So sorry for the delay. If you guys are coming in, smash the like button. Got Dark Fox with me again. He was in here last Friday. We did an Ask Robert, but I was like, you know what? We talked about a lot of shit. We didn't do much Ask Robert stuff, so we're just gonna have a conversation, a little show. So we have some topics that we're gonna talk about, including Aquaman, the Ike Perlmutter, the Victoria Alonso stuff, the Xbox Microsoft deal, because that keeps getting funner and funner. And of course, if you guys send in any questions, you can you know how to send in questions. We'll hit the questions. And of course, I have Dark Fox's YouTube channel in the description box below, under the follow my guest, and the link to his channel is right there. So smash the like button. So, alrighty, man. So you said you wanted to talk about the Aquaman stuff, and I did a little research. I vaguely heard about what was going on, and then I did a little research. And I'll let you go ahead and start it off, since it was the topic you wanted to bring up, and then I'll just chime in as you go.
Right on. Well, first off, man, thank you for having me again. I really appreciate it. It was fun last time, so thank you.
It was absolute pleasure, man. No problem at all. Yeah, no problem at all.
But so I was reading through. Apparently, this happened a while back, but Jason Momoa came out talking to Deadline. I want to say that was the publication, and he was talking about how he had just got out of a meeting with Zaslav, and how he wasn't going anywhere. He might even be stepping into new roles. So I thought that was really interesting, especially how they did Henry Cavill, just clean cut, and he's out as Superman, because of you know James Gunn wants to go in a different direction. I understand that, but out of all the people that were with the Justice League, Henry Cavill was like the fan favorite, and just like that, gone overnight, right? But I think it's really interesting stuff, just because what they're gonna do with the Flash Paradox movie with Ezra Miller. They're already setting the stage for a multiverse going forward. So him being able to step into another role other than Aquaman is totally plausible. Now, we haven't heard anything from James Gunn or Peter Safran or Zaslav for any confirmation on this. But with what he's saying, it does have some credence, because the direction that they're going right now. You know what I mean? So what do you think about all of that?
So okay, so here's my thing that I feel is going on with the whole DC thing, because I mean, me and you talked behind the stage, and I told you I'm not a big fan of fanboys, right? Like, it's okay to be a fan of something, but I think like I'm tired of the fanboys, and most importantly, I'm tired of the Zack Snyder fanboys, because these people, it's a mental illness now. I seen people on my Facebook feed showing this picture of Zack Snyder holding a statue of Superman with his, like, 5 hands up, 3 fingers down, and 2 fingers open. Oh my God, he did 3 movies with 2 open. It's like, yeah, I'm like, you guys are dumb. Like you guys are just stupid. Like, you guys are crazy. Like, you guys need like professional help. So I think the like passion and stuff for Henry Cavill comes from that fan base, and I don't think people are looking at it in a logical way. Like, it's so, look, I'm a massive fan of the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 movies. Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man, right? Like when I read comic books, he was my Peter Parker that I envisioned. I didn't go on to Twitter and like harass everybody once he got recasted by Tom Holland. I didn't go, oh my God, sell it to Netflix so we can continue, or do all this crazy shit. It was like, oh, I understand business. Disney wants to include Spider-Man. They want to cast a younger Spider-Man. They have to move in another direction. I understood that. I didn't sit here and like try to boycott or sign petitions or anything like that. I think that's insane. That's stupid. And the Henry Cavill situation is, here's the problem with the Henry Cavill situation. We're going to get into the Aquaman stuff too, is Man of Steel
Mhm.
didn't it did well financially. It
Yeah.
didn't do as well as the studio wanted, right?
Right.
Then when when they went to go do Man of Steel 2, WB imposed that they do a Batman v Superman movie because they feel like it would have made $1 billion or be more financially successful,
Mm.
right? It didn't work. It made money, but it didn't make $1 billion. You think you had like you have Captain America versus Iron Man, and it made over $1 billion. You have Batman versus Superman, who are more
Yeah.
iconic, and they didn't make $1 billion. So then, when the Justice League movie was in production, WB was like, look, your first two movies didn't make the type of money we wanted. We're getting a lot of
Yeah.
critic backlash. You know, your vision's too dark and all this stuff. We want you to
Yeah.
try to do something different. And then, the passing of Zack Snyder's daughter, that was a nice transition to exit him out of the franchise and take the franchise in a different direction. So the Henry Cavill, although we all love him as Superman, those movies never made the money of what the studio wanted. Even Henry Cavill, what people don't know, Henry
Mhm.
Cavill was not happy with Zack Snyder's version of Superman. Henry
Mhm.
Cavill came out and said, I want to play a brighter, more,
Yeah.
heroic Superman from the comics. I didn't like this dark,
Yeah.
brooding Superman. Henry Cavill didn't even like Zack Snyder's Superman. Yet all the Zack Snyder fans are wanting Henry
Yeah.
Cavill to come back. And even if he did come back,
Mhm.
he would not have been the Zack Snyder Superman. Even in the Black
Right.
Adam and credit scene, he's wearing the bright blue. It's completely
Yeah.
different costume. Same thing with
Yeah.
the end of Just League. It's a completely different costume. So
Mhm.
I just feel like there's a lot of misconception going around. But what I tell everybody is, if you want these studios to continue to make the movies that you love, you need to go support these movies. The
Right.
reason why all the rumors of Henry Cavill and Black Adam came out was because The Rock purposely released that information to try to build up the box office, right? So
Yes.
at that time,
Yeah.
Warner Brothers, all they kept hearing was Henry Cavill, Henry Cavill. So they were like, okay, finally, whatever, bring him back, announce to the
Yeah.
world, bring him back. And what happened? Black Adam bombed at the box office. So
Right.
that showed Warner Brothers, this isn't working. We need to go in a different direction. A couple weeks
Yeah.
later, they bring in James Gunn and Peter Safran. They're like, okay, the universe is yours. Why did
Mhm.
James Gunn did not fire uh Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was just let go because there was no need for him. James
Right.
Gunn was already writing a Superman movie since
Mhm.
last year. So
Yeah.
when because there was 3 Superman projects going on at the same exact time. There was the Michael B. Jordan Superman, there
Yeah.
was the Henry Cavill Superman, and the James Gunn Superman. The studio did not decide which one to go with yet because they wanted to see how the fan reaction in the box office of Black Adam would have done. If Black Adam would have made $800 million, we would not be having this conversation today. But the fact of the matter is, all these hardcore
Yeah.
fans did not go out and support the movie with their
Right.
wallet. So
Mhm.
DC and Warner Brothers said, okay, you can't keep smashing your head against the wall and expecting to break the wall. At some point, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result is insanity. So they went a
Yeah.
different direction. James Gunn was handed the keys to the franchise and said, do what you can do with it. And James Gunn was like, okay, well, should I keep Henry Cavill, where
Mhm.
yes, he's a fan favorite, but his movies are underperforming,
Right.
or I've been working on the script for the past 7-8 months. Why don't we
Mhm.
just bring this script in and do a soft reboot? Not
Mhm.
everything is going to stay the same or change. We get to
Mhm.
the Aquaman situation. Let's
Mhm.
see how Aquaman does at the box office. The first one made $1 billion. But
Yeah.
since that movie, every DCEU movie has bombed. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, Birds of Prey,
Yeah. Yeah.
Suicide Squad, Black Adam, Shazam is a massive bomb. Every one of
Yeah.
those movies since Aquaman has bombed. So right
Mhm.
now, you hear there's no confirmation that Aquaman is returning, right? Because they're waiting to see what the box office is. If that box
Mhm.
office hits 800-900 million or $1 billion like the first movie,
Mhm.
Aquaman will return in the DCU, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why they're not confirming that yet is because they're not stupid. They're waiting to see it out,
Yeah.
They're waiting to see what's gonna happen. If it's successful, yeah, you're gonna bring back Jason Momoa as
Yeah.
Aquaman. If it's not successful, okay, guess what? We can play him as Lobo. We can do something else. You
This
know,
is true. Yeah.
Every, why is Peacemaker still part of the continuity? Well, Peacemaker was probably the best thing DCEU made. It was critically loved. It was fan loved. It did great numbers for HBO Max. So you want to, when you're going to do something, you want to take all the parts that work and move forward, and all the parts that didn't work and scrap it. So in the eyes, if you're looking at Henry Cavill's Superman, regardless of the hardcore sweaties that are on their keyboard wanting to boycott everything, you know, despite all that, you're looking at it financially, it did not work. It did not work. And that's the biggest problem right now. You know, and when it comes to Aquaman, I even read the article. He doesn't confirm or deny anything. He is more of a, we have to wait and see what his future is. You know, so
it's like the one I read by Deadline, he was super sure. He was like, "Yeah, Aquaman's not going anywhere." The quote from him, right? But I think that Black Adam would have done good if it was a good movie. It just wasn't a good movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the movie itself
and
was
then, like
trash.
you said, that
yeah, the movie
it's like
itself.
The idea trash. People were wanting to see this movie, and then once it got around that it was a bad movie, no one went to go see it. No one went to go see it. It's like his The Rock's vision for that movie was totally different. I could see where he was going with it, but it's like he made the end and just put something together to get there. He didn't think out how to actually get there. You know, it wasn't a good movie.
There was a lot of problems with that.
And then, like
there was a lot of problems with that.
Yeah.
No, go
like,
ahead.
I
didn't want to cut
I
you
took
off.
from that movie was that he's not a hero. You know what I mean? That was the only thing. He said that countless times in the movie. I'm no hero. It's like, dude, I get it. I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Let's try to, get this this writing back on track. You know what I mean? But anyway.
The problem is the Black Adam movie was a 20-year-old movie in present day. You know, it was like the way comic book movies were made back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Dog, that is so true.
Yeah,
that is
unfortunately
so true. Good Lord, that I've not heard anyone put it that good. That's perfect. That's on point.
It's exactly that. You go back and look at those old Fantastic Four movies, or like the early X-Men movies, like any of those, like Daredevil and all that stuff early back then. That's that type of movie. That's the era it belongs in. And The Rock is, I think, look, the guy can promote himself in wrestling, but the dude doesn't understand the movie business as much as he wants to think he understands the movie business. He went into business with himself, and he burnt a lot of bridges.
Right.
And I really feel that Shazam 2 is suffering because of The Rock.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. He can come out and say, I want a Black Adam movie. The hierarchy of power is going to change. It didn't do anything. But he wants to come out and hype all this stuff up. Black Adam is a secondary character to Shazam. And Shazam is a secondary character to everybody else in the DC. So you're taking a secondary character from a secondary character's comic, and you're trying to do a solo movie, and you're trying to hype this thing up. Dude, no one knew who Black Adam was, unless you're like someone who watches YouTube or read comics. No one knows who Black Adam is. Why should we care about this character? But yet, the reason why this hurts Shazam was because the first Shazam movie, they had a nobody villain, right? We're like, that's okay. As long as Black Adam's in the second one, I'm fine, right? Look at Aquaman. Black Manta was in the movie, but he wasn't the main villain. And we're like, all right, we're going to get Black Manta in the second movie, So everybody's watching Shazam. We're like, oh, man, well, Shazam 2 is definitely going to be him versus Black Adam, and maybe Superman will help, right? And then The Rock's like, no, I don't want nothing to do with Shazam, right? But you're a Shazam character. You're a Shazam character. What do you mean you don't want nothing to do with Shazam? He didn't want to film no end credit scene with Shazam. He didn't want no one from the Black Adam universe attached to Shazam. And eventually, so what did Shazam have to suffer for? Like, Shazam had to settle for a senior citizen actress playing a villain, right? Like nothing against Lucy Liu or I forgot the actress.
Love Lucy Liu.
Yeah. Love Lucy Liu, and then they had the other actress I can't
But yeah, I
remember
know what you're
her
talking about.
name, but okay, now we have villains that
Mhm.
I read comics and I have no idea who the hell these people are. So when it was time for me to decide if I wanted to go see Shazam 2 or not, I'm like, no, I'll pass because the sequel was supposed to be
Mhm.
bigger and better than the second or the first one. You already blew your load by showing the Shazam family in the first movie, which took away from
Yeah.
Shazam being special because now his whole family has it. You should have saved that for the
Yeah.
second movie should have been The Rock or Black Adam versus Shazam. Shazam
Mhm.
gets his ass kicked, has
Yeah.
no way to do anything, and then his family came to help him. They should have introduced the Shazam family, and
Yeah.
it should have been them and Shazam versus Black Adam to take him down, right? And that would have worked for The Rock to do a
Mhm.
spinoff movie because it took the entire Shazam family to take out
Yeah.
Black Adam. So Black Adam still looks like a badass because it took a whole
Mhm.
family to do it. Then they
Yeah.
could have went into a
Mhm.
Black Adam solo movie, did the Henry Cavill end credit scene or whatever, and then you're promoting. When Marvel
Mhm.
did Black Panther, they introduced Black Panther in Civil War first. They just didn't come out with a
Yeah.
Black Panther movie, because a lot of people need to know who these characters are prior to that, right?
Yeah.
People that watch Shazam are fans of the Black
Mhm.
Adam character because they fight each other. They're like, you don't get a Green Goblin
Yeah.
solo movie or a Killmonger solo movie first, right? You get those characters after they're introduced in their proper context. So by doing
Yeah.
Black Adam, you completely take away any liability, like any credibility from the Shazam movie, because you're taking his arch
Mhm.
enemy and just taking him away.
Mhm.
So why go see this? You're gonna be
Yeah.
rebooting it within the next year with Flashpoint. So why?
Yeah.
And that all
Yeah.
goes into the disarray that DC and Warner Brothers were, because they had way
Mhm.
too many cooks in the kitchen and no one really knew what was going on. And now James Gunn has to
Yep.
filter all this shit through. And he's like, so if people want to cry about the Henry Cavill thing, then they look,
Yeah.
go get a little cheese with your wine, play a violin, do something. It's like, he it's a business. At the end of the day, you got to
Yeah.
have a business, and there's no
Mhm.
attachment when
Yeah.
it comes to business. And Jason Momoa could be
Mhm.
very optimistic about Aquaman, but we will see after that
Yeah.
box office. It all comes down to money at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
All comes
true.
down to
Freaking
money.
but just to like kind of with Black Adam and Shazam, right? Um you I needed Shazam to be a more he needed to grow more. Like
Yeah,
as Billy Batson, he did fine. But as Shazam, he was way too goofy. He was way too goofy. And
yeah,
so having a serious really serious villain like Black Adam, him fighting Shazam, he needed to be way more serious. You know what I mean? Like not
yep,
Superman, but something equivalent to that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But they're continuing the the Billy Batson being more serious than Shazam is, which is the silliest thing ever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I think
yeah,
that was part of the reason why a lot of people didn't go see it, because the criticisms from the first movie were some of that, and then they continued that on into the second movie. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
um, with The Rock coming out and just pretty much saying nothing to do with Shazam at all whatsoever, you're cutting your franchise off at the knees if you do that,
yep,
because Shazam is Black Adam's a villain of Shazam. You know what I mean? So
hmm,
they go together like butter and jelly, and that's how you
yeah,
have to look at it. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's
You
like
have to.
Batman and the
I would
Joker.
love to see
It's
Black Adam fight Superman. Yeah,
yeah. So did I. So would I. I
yeah.
would like. Yeah. Like
I
no. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, I would love to see Black Adam fight Superman, but he's got to go through Shazam first. So, like you said, set the groundwork to introduce the character, and then move forward into the with the Justice League and all their various villains that they have too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 And
Hmm.
that's the thing. It all comes down to setup. The biggest problem with DC
Hmm.
was that they allowed people to come in and change their game plan, right? They allowed
Yeah.
um for example, when James Gunn came in, oh, you could do whatever you want.
Hmm.
Matt Reeves came
Yeah.
in, right? Instead of telling Matt Reeves, well, you got to do a Batman movie that's connected, they're like, oh no, you can do whatever you
Yeah.
want. That's why we got a Batman movie completely separate from anything, you know.
Yeah.
And then when J.J.
Hmm.
Abrams came on, oh, you can do a Superman. You want to do Michael B. Jordan Black Superman? Okay, you can do that. Like they let the people come in and tell them what to do instead of them telling them what to do.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why Kevin Feige over Marvel has been
Yeah.
successful for so long, because Kevin Feige brings them in like, okay, here's the game plan. As long as you can
Mhm.
do what you want
Mhm.
and still go by these guidelines, go for it. But you have to meet these guidelines.
Yeah.
Whereas Warner Brothers, like, you can do whatever you
Mhm.
want because we're fucking stupid, you know? You know, they did a Joker solo movie. As much as I love that movie, what does that have to do with
Yeah.
anything, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just it's a
It
shit
was
show
an
over
art
there.
project with WB.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Those,
then
I think those are just kind of offshoot art projects that they want to
yeah, but what
get
they don't
done to kind of, I
understand
guess,
is
reinvigorate people to come see their movies.
it
Mhm.
confuses the audience though. It confuses the audience. A lot of people on
Yeah,
YouTube is like, it
true.
doesn't confuse the audience.
Mhm.
You're on YouTube. Of course, it doesn't confuse you. You're on YouTube. What about Sally and her 3 kids that don't go
Yeah.
on YouTube or anything? They're like, why is this guy
Mhm.
Batman? I thought he was Batman. Oh, there's a different
Yeah.
Superman. Like it, you know, they're confusing their audience, and that's their biggest problem. Is they got to make sure that they're
Mhm.
not, confusing their audience, and that's what they've been
Yeah.
doing. So hopefully after Flash, everything starts to
Mhm.
get settled. I do think once Matt Reeves' contract is up, when he's done with his, I don't
Mhm.
know if he signed a contract to do 2 movies or a trilogy, but whenever that contract's up,
Right.
you're not going to see James Gunn renew it because he doesn't want 2 different Batmans existing at the same
Right.
time. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
Well, I mean,
stupid.
they've got the Penguin show. I'm pretty sure that's still going. Like they came
Yeah,
in
it's
and
still
cut a
going.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's
So
still
they've got
going.
Batman 2 that's in the works, and then the Penguin series that they want to do too. So um, who knows if you'll get 3? The way they made it seem is that they'll keep going until they get tired of it. I
Yeah,
guess. But
yeah.
at least that's what Matt Reeves said. He's making it seem like they'll do as many as they want to do. You know,
Yeah,
but
it all comes down to money. The last one
mhm,
made a ton of money. Like I believe it
mhm,
almost hit $1 billion.
yeah,
So it's gonna keep on coming down to the money. You know, the money
yeah,
talks, man. People don't realize
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Money
But
absolutely talks.
would love to see an overarching narrative though between
Yeah.
movies like Marvel did.
Hmm.
DC, if anyone deserves it, DC does. Because they've got the characters, they've got the story, and it's super rich. Like I was just going, I want to say it was the Dark Metal comic series with the Batman that laughs. It was over the top, but it was so dope. It was so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking
Oh
about.
yeah.
I haven't read it
Yeah.
personally, but I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I even got some freaking figures back here. Got pretty much the whole gamut back there. But anyway, yeah. But Ike Perlman or Perlmutter. Perlmutter.
Perlmutter, yeah, Perlmutter. Yeah, again, let go. And this is another
Yeah.
thing I think people are making a bigger deal of than it actually needs to be. Personally,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
see people on YouTube, right? Like, oh, more Marvel
Mhm.
failure, they're going down. I'm like, you guys do know Mike Perlmutter hasn't had anything to do with Marvel in years, right? Like he's a producer in name only.
Right.
Like he was very much attached. It was him and Kevin
Mhm.
Feige were like partners, and then him and
Mhm.
Kevin Feige kept clashing on everything. I brought up in
Yeah.
my video about the music because if you go back to phase 2, almost all the music in phase 2 has
Mhm.
different music than phase 1 and 3 because he felt like it wasn't worth spending the money on music. Like the music doesn't mean anything. That's why Avengers Age of Ultron sounds so different than the other ones.
Mhm.
And then they kept clashing with Kevin Feige, and then finally Bob
Right.
Iger and Alan Horn moved him over
Yeah.
to the movie or the TV division. So his like they probably just looked at it like,
Mhm.
well, he's not really doing anything. Like we're laying people off. Like we're just gonna lay him off, you know. And people are like,
Yes.
people
Yeah,
are
yeah.
like on YouTube just jump on this bandwagon, and it goes back to that fanboy mentality. Haha, Marvel's over. Haha, you guys. I'm like, if you guys know what you're talking about, you would realize that has nothing to do with anything, and kind of merge these two topics together. It's the same thing with Victoria
Yeah,
Alonso. Right, Victoria Alonso,
yeah.
everybody's like, oh, she got let go because it's the MCU. You guys do know she's not
Mhm.
part of creative. You know, her
Right.
job is just as a producer to make sure that stuff is on schedule, the money situation is good, and these movies get put out on time. And she got let go for completely different reasons because she was producing a movie for another company. But
Right.
I just like how these I guess non DC fanboys, DC fanboys
Mhm.
automatically just, oh, it's the end of Marvel and stuff, but they're not really looking into the situation and seeing
Right.
like who's working with who, what their
Mhm.
actual job title is, because it looks good on headlines. Marvel executive fired, right? I think I use
Yeah.
something like that in mine, right? Because people are gonna click on it. But when you look at it,
You
Perlmutter
said you
hasn't
were
done
going to,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, like Perlmutter hasn't done
Yeah.
shit. Well, what's your overall thoughts on the situation?
With the Ike Perlmutter, I it's sad that it had to come to this because without him, we wouldn't have the MCU as we know it. So
Mm-hmm.
with him being as obstructionist and trying to chime in at everything and going but in his with Kevin Feige, it's really sad that it had to come to this. And from what I understand, whenever he had the Marvel Netflix shows, it was him overseeing that. And those were dude. Jessica Jones was badass. Luke Cage was awesome.
Yeah,
Daredevil was
yeah,
awesome. Those dude, it really brought me back into the fold for seeing what they had for TV stuff. And when they went to Disney Plus, I was excited to see those shows because I thought it was going to be somewhat close to uh,
yeah,
what those were on Netflix. And what's really funny is that Jones, Luke Cage, they're street Marvel characters. They're on the street helping their
yeah,
communities and stuff like that. There, there shouldn't be that much um, to anywhere to go. You got Iron Man, the Hulk, saving the universe and stuff like this. And then you got these street guys that are helping their community. It shouldn't be more interesting than what's going on out
yeah,
there,
yeah,
but it kind of was. It was awesome, the stuff they were getting into. So,
yeah,
him being the head of that was, sad to see him go. But with what happened with Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange, and then all of a sudden he's trying to get Kevin Feige fired, you know, that's a no-no. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Especially he was doing great work,
yep,
but he had all these inputs he wanted. He didn't want to go in the direction that Kevin Feige was going, so he wanted him fired. That's a no-no, man. You're sticking your neck out there really long for it to get chopped off. And it eventually
yeah,
did. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And with Victoria Alonso, as far as I know, she was in charge of VFX, and then
yeah. She got promoted to that afterwards.
right. So with her being in charge of VFX, and then we know how is actually She-Hulk. That was the
Yeah,
biggest one. She-Hulk was like, holy crap, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I understand. And then, like you said, when she was going to produce that other movie, I can't remember. It was like something 1985. Guatemala, 1985. I can't remember.
yeah,
Apparently, it was a
yeah,
really good
something
movie
like
too.
that. Yeah,
So,
I haven't seen it, but I heard it was really good.
mhm. Yeah, with her breaking her contract the way that she did, she should have expected this. But she's fighting tooth and nail now. She's saying that Disney's anti LGBT, that
Yeah,
they don't like
anti-gay.
women.
That's
Yeah,
so
this and all
full of
is
shit. They had
yeah,
gay shit in every movie.
yeah,
Every
yeah.
movie they had something gay in there.
Mhm.
So how could they be anti-gay if man they promote that more than they promote the movie? Before Eternals even came out, a year before that movie came out, they're like, there's gonna be a gay character in Eternals. It's like, tell us the
Yeah,
plot. We don't
yeah,
care,
yeah.
And the same thing, Valkyrie is bisexual, dude. Disney's more cares
Mhm,
more about that
mhm.
checklist than anything. She's not gonna win that fight. She is not going to win that fight.
No,
It's so
no, no,
stupid.
no, no. With everything that they, and then as much leeway as they gave her, with everything. I think they restructured her contract to even let her go produce the other movie. But I want to say whenever they were going to some award show, and Black was it Black Panther? I want to say it was Black Panther in the 1985 movie, and she was there
Oh, you're
for
talking
the
about at
one
the
that she had
Oscars?
produced personally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So it's
Because
like,
Black Panther was up for Best Supporting Actress, and then the
mhm,
other movie she produced, I forgot what the award was, but it won
yeah,
something, and she went up on stage as the producer,
mhm,
and that was kind of like the last straw. And then Marvel was like, "Yeah, we're
yeah,
gonna let her
you got to
go,"
go.
Yeah,
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 yeah. So, um, there is what it feels like to me is that Marvel or the MCU, they're going through kind of a restructuring. I think the 4% that they laid off, I want to say, Ike and Victoria were part of that, but it was kind of a smokescreen to get rid of those two because they seem like real troublemakers in the company,
yeah,
trying to shore up, uh, not support, but get the ones who would butt heads with them out, so they can just move on smoothly with what they have planned for the
yeah,
future, right? So you hate to see it, but I understand why they did it.
yeah.
And like you were saying, there was a narrative that was going around it, and it's not that at all. It's not even close to that. It's them trying to get the bad apples out and continue on, with
Yeah.
what they got planned for the future.
Yeah, and I think another
Yeah.
thing was we see companies all the time lay people off, right? Microsoft just had to lay off like
Yeah.
thousands of people. WB lays people off, like
Hmm.
companies lay people off, and at the end of the day, the Victoria Alonso thing wasn't a layoff. Like she clearly was in the wrong. It breached her contract,
Right.
and they let her go. So good luck fighting
Yeah.
that. As for
Right.
the Ike Perlmutter thing, your services is no longer needed really,
Hmm. Yeah.
because the only reason why you were allowed to go do the Netflix shows was because they weren't attached to the MCU. They
Right.
tried to play it off for a while like it was by showing like Avengers clips and shit, but they're
Hmm.
not. And now that the Netflix shows are being kind of rebooted into the MCU on Disney Plus, it's all
Hmm.
connected.
Yeah.
They're not going to let you be in charge of Kevin Feige anymore or be a partner with Kevin Feige when you guys
Yeah.
clash. Kevin Feige
Hmm.
has proven himself way too much to have to
Hmm.
take orders from anybody who isn't Bob Iger, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
look what happened when Bob Chapek took over for Bob Iger. They took power
Hmm.
away from Kevin Feige. They increased his
Hmm.
workload, giving us all these stupid Disney Plus shows and stuff. And then the quality of the movies started going down. There was
Yeah.
there was like they paid $8 million to Lena Headey for a role in Thor: Love and Thunder that Bob Chapek made them cut out completely of the movie. Like there was like
Yeah.
15-20 minutes of the movie completely cut out of her entire character that was
Oh.
supposed to give a lot of character development to the God Butcher character played by Christian Bale, right? So now when we look at the movie, it's like,
Yeah.
this is stupid, this is silly, it's over the top, but any real heart or meat to that character that would made him a compelling
Yeah.
villain was taken away
Hmm.
because Bob Chapek went in there and told Kevin Feige that he had to do this, this, and this. And that's why,
Yeah.
and now Bob Iger's coming back in and he's like, okay, we need to get this back to where we used to have it, where we're only doing 2 to 3 movies a year. We're cutting back on a lot of these Disney Plus shows because, man, we were getting shit like every month with something coming out. And it was just like, and it wasn't quality stuff. She-Hulk,
Yeah.
not only
Yeah.
was it a bad show,
No.
it visually looked bad. I have my friend
Mhm.
Adam. He's on
Yeah.
Sunday nights, and he's like, "Oh, she looks hot." I'm like, "Bro,
Hmm.
like I see people on Twitch with less budget do something to make it look better than this, right? I see girls on Instagram in green makeup
Yeah.
look more better than this. I'm like, no, they're rushing this shit out too
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. They need to do
Yeah.
less projects, more quality projects like the
Hmm.
MCU used to do, and get
Yeah.
back on track. And you can't
Yeah.
have Ike Perlmutter
Yeah.
trying to You just can't have him in there in the mix because it just doesn't make no sense. You're taking steps
Yeah.
backwards. You're supposed to be taking steps forward, you know, much like in the
Yeah.
DC universe. You know, you can't have Zack Snyder in there
Yeah.
doing stuff because they're moving away from that. You know, every
Yeah.
situation has their time in the sun, and you support it with your dollar. If you don't, then you know the Marvel movies haven't been making the money it used to make, so they have to make
Right.
changes. DC movies weren't making no money. They had to make changes. Sorry if people
Yeah.
get butthurt over that, you know?
Yeah.
It's the name of the
Yeah.
business. It
It
is
is
the name of the
100%.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little FYI, all that mess up that I did earlier with the thumbnail and the title and everything really hurt our viewership, man. I mean, we still got 20 people watching, but we could have had a lot more if it wasn't for that mess up I did.
You know, I think it looked totally awesome, dude. And I was gonna ask you, how do you do your thumbnails?
I do everything in my video editor. I use
Dope.
Sony Vegas,
Yeah.
so I do everything on there. So a lot of people have Photoshop and they do stuff, but
Hmm. Hmm.
I just, to me it's just easier if I just edit my video and then use clips and stuff and do it with Sony
Yeah.
Vegas. So it just makes things a little easier for me. But
Right on, dude.
no, Carmelo, what I did
And
was
they
I
come out
uploaded the
looking
wrong
freaking
thumbnail.
awesome, dude.
Yeah, I uploaded the wrong one when I did the video, and then the title got changed or something. I don't know. Think my computer's been acting up a little bit lately, but yeah, I got it fixed now. Hopefully, it's not a little too late, but yeah,
Oh,
it's a
but
shame.
and I'm good with just one person watching, dude. Honestly, you know. But I mean, it's just you and me. We're having a really good conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And speaking of conversation, should we get into the Microsoft stuff, or is there still more stuff on the superhero side you want to hit
Oh
on?
man. We can go to Microsoft. Now, I do want to preface, and we talked about this backstage, but I will get the actual comment. You know what? Shoot, man. I'm sorry. I got to get this comment, dude, because he posted
Was it the
really
comment
good.
the comment in our last
Uh,
stream? Because if it was the one about I think I know which one you're
no,
talking
it was
about.
whenever I chopped up the live stream from last one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. But if you guys are coming
right.
in, smash the
So
like button.
last stream,
Smash the
he was
like
like,
button.
"What you're failing to acknowledge." Mhm.
Well, go ahead.
But so the Marvin Ginyard, I really appreciate you, buddy. He said what you're failing to acknowledge is that Microsoft is using the market definition that Sony presented to the FTC, CMA, and EU. That definition being the high performance console market. Sony gerrymandered this definition to intentionally leave Nintendo out of the conversation. They were dishonestly leaving Nintendo out because Call of Duty hasn't been on Nintendo console for over 10 years, yet they've been extremely successful. And I'm gonna cut it off right there. So I want to say what I said about Maria Cantwell, the representative of Washington. Whenever she was using the high-end performance consoles definition, she was using the one that Sony did. I had no idea at the time, so I thought that she was trying to pull some shady stuff, along with Xbox or Microsoft, and she wasn't. It was just Sony, getting their comeuppance,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I really want to
I didn't
appreciate.
bring that up either.
I really want to thank you for setting me straight on that.
Yeah. Real quick though,
Mm,
I wanna just answer this
right
one
on. Oh
question.
well.
Uh
Oh, no
we
worries.
didn't get a super chat, but Matt 136. Resident Evil 5 is getting a remake. What do you think? I think I'd rather shoot myself in the nuts. They need to remake Code Veronica, not Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 is fantastic. I love Resident Evil 5. That's not the game that
Hmm.
needs a remake. Resident
Yeah.
Evil Code Veronica needs a remake. But to get back to your statement there, yeah, I knew the fact that Sony left out Nintendo. I just
Hmm.
didn't bring it up in the conversation because there was really no point for me to bring it up in the conversation. But
Hmm.
at the beginning of this merger, Microsoft kept using Nintendo as an example, and it was pissing off
Hmm.
Sony because Sony's like, if we don't have Call of Duty, we're not going to survive, right?
Yeah.
And Microsoft's like, Nintendo is doing better than all of us right now. Like Mario
Yes.
Kart sold like 50 billion copies. They're doing great. They sold like 120 something million Nintendo Switch units, right? It's like
Yes.
one of the highest selling consoles of all time. They don't
Second
have Call of
highest.
Duty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nintendo and Sony's like, well, they're different. They're not high end gaming. Last time I checked, gaming was gaming. I don't know what this high end gaming shit is. So
Exactly.
Microsoft was like, oh, so that's the way you want to play it. And the CMAs played it like that. The FTC played it like that. So Microsoft's like, oh, that's how you want to play it. So he comes out with this big ass chart that says high-end gaming market, and it's got Sony having 80% of the market and Microsoft with 20. And it's like, which one of these looks like a monopoly on high-end gaming, So basically they just took what Sony was arguing and made Sony look even worse by doing that. So much so that they, like I said, Microsoft asked the judge for all Sony's contracts for the past 4 years. The judge agreed, and now Japan has both the CMA and the Japan markets have agreed to the merger, and now Japan is actually looking into Sony because Sony has monopoly on the Japanese market over there in Japan because Octopath Traveler 2, DioField Chronicles, like all these major Square Enix franchises are not on the Xbox console over there. And the Xbox they only sell like a couple 100,000 consoles over there, where Sony sells millions. So now by Sony fighting so hard to make themselves look weak, they're actually coming out looking like not only worse, but they also look like they're the ones having the monopoly on everything. They have a complete stranglehold on the whole gaming market in Japan because you can't use Nintendo because Sony's doesn't count Nintendo. So it just they're one of those people that run their mouth too much. I can't take this analogy for myself. Player Essence used this analogy, but Sony is that bully that keeps picking on somebody, and then when that person finally gets tired of the bully and kicks the bully in the face, the bully cries. Goes to the teacher. Oh, he hit me. Like, you were the bully. You were picking this fight, and now you're getting punched in the face. You want to cry about it. You're the one with the exclusivity deals, keeping games like Final Fantasy off the Xbox, taking games like Octopath Traveler 2 and all these other Square Enix JRPGs off the console. This Activision deal is gonna go through, and you're gonna get everything you deserve. I don't play this console fanboy shit, man. I don't do it. It's ridiculous.
Like you were saying, it's anti-consumer is what it is. You know what I mean? It's like the people that for Xbox, they want those games too. But if Sony's going, behind the scenes selling Square Enix or whoever the studio might be, it's like, hey, I'll pay you this amount of money, keep it off Xbox. That's not capitalism, bro. That's sleazy business. You know what I mean? Anti-consumer.
It sucks because I'm a massive Square Enix fan, right? Out of every gaming company, Square Enix is my favorite. I like playing third-party games on the Xbox because the Xbox frame rate is better, the graphics resolution is better. This is not me being a fanboy of Xbox because I play my PlayStation 2, but even Resident Evil 5, the graphics is superior on the Xbox Series X. You can check Digital Foundry. I'm not making that shit up, but or not Resident Evil 5, but Resident Evil 4 remake, but
right on.
I don't want to have to, like, I would much rather play Final Fantasy 16 on the Xbox or Octopath Traveler on my Xbox, but I don't have that opportunity because they have a monopoly on the Japanese Square Enix franchises over there. Like, we get like Crisis Core, but why did they let Crisis Core remaster come on Xbox? Because it promotes Final Fantasy 7 remake that's a PlayStation 5 exclusive. So that's why they do it. They're not stupid. They're not stupid at all. It's been 2 years since Final Fantasy 7 remake. How come is it still not on the Xbox? It's ridiculous. And then companies like Square Enix is like, well, Forspoken didn't sell no copies because you have it on just one console. Like put it on the Xbox. You might not sell a whole lot more, but you'll sell more than if you didn't. You know, it's ridiculous. The same thing happened with Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V was a PlayStation exclusive, and it didn't sell anywhere near it should have. That's why it's multi-platform for Street Fighter 6. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. Sony's playing the victim, and they're the ones doing the victimizing.
Sony is so bad, right?
I think we're losing Dark Fox. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, you're back. You're back. You froze up there for a bit. I was like, oh no, we lost you.
Right on.
But yes, you're right. Sony,
but like even Bob Kotick came out and was like, Sony's got to get their act together. It's like when Bob Kotick is telling you need to get your act together, you've really fallen off, dude. That's just wow.
It was funny because when Sony first went to try to block this with the FTC and everything, they said, we want to block this because if they own Activision, they're gonna raise the prices of everything. And then 2 weeks before that, they raised the price of the PS5 everywhere. Everywhere except for the United States, like over in Europe, Australia, everything. They raised the prices of the PS5 by $5. It was like, you just raised their prices, and you're sitting there telling us, it's like, what?
Well, in Sony's defense on that one, Xbox did the same thing later down the road, but it still doesn't look good if you're talking about, they're going to raise prices and then all of a sudden you make your products more expensive.
Well, Xbox raised the prices of their games later down the road, right? But Sony raised the prices of their games and their console, right? When PlayStation 5 first came out, they're like $70 for all of our games. Microsoft stayed at $60 for 2 years. And then later on last year, right before they tried to fight the FTC on the merger, PlayStation raised the prices of their console by $50 in every other market. And the PlayStation 5 is like the highest costly console, right? So they're accusing Microsoft of raising prices of games and stuff, yet they did it first before everybody, And then they want to talk about well, they're not going to make they just don't want Call of Duty on Microsoft on a console because Microsoft had the marketing rights for the Xbox 360 for Call of Duty. And that's why the Xbox 360 did very, very well, because everybody they associated, Call of Duty, Xbox. You got to get an Xbox to play Call of Duty, even though they were always multiplayer. People don't want to say this, but I'm going to say this. And people can take this any way they want. Humans are sheep, right? They don't use logic sense. They see something and they blindly get it. So what I mean by that is you see a Madden game with a PlayStation logo on it, right? Or a Call of Duty game with a PlayStation logo on it. Humans are sheep. They'll go, well, I need a PlayStation to play that. No, it's on every damn console, It's like you can play it on Xbox or whatnot. It's like these are why these companies are fighting for the marketing, because they know the average person sees that logo and they automatically associate it with that logo. It's like, people are stupid. They don't think for themselves. They're just like they're stuck in this trance and they're just force feeding what they see. Like when you see a trailer for Call of Duty and it's like the PlayStation logo comes on and goes donk PlayStation, and then you play the Call of Duty. Oh man, I gotta get a PlayStation. This looks great. It's like, motherfucker, it's on Xbox too. You just don't see the logo. That's why I say people are sheep, man. It's all about the marketing. People. It is. It's facts, man. It's facts. It's facts. Matt said, I don't see nothing with exclusives. Exclusive is what makes people.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Like the reason why I vied for a PS5 instead of an Xbox is because I like their homemade games.
The first party games.
Dog, the Horizon Zero Dawns and all that good stuff. Yeah, I really like the story tell. You know what I mean? And that's why I vibe for PlayStation over Xbox.
My thing with that is, and I kind of had a argument with someone on Facebook because they're like, well, PlayStation has better games. They used to, right? They used to have God of War and Killzone and Resistance, Jack and Daxter, Uncharted, Last of Us, all that. They don't have none of that anymore. They have Last of Us, Horizon, and God of War. That's all they have. Gran Turismo is nothing but a microtransaction mess. You know, like that's all they have is just those 3 properties. They remade The Last of Us Part 1 more times than God knows, you know. That's the problem. They're more focused on third-party games to make exclusives than they are making their own in-house games. And Microsoft is no one to Microsoft don't get a pass on this either. Like Halo came out in a horrible state. You know, you've been announcing these games that haven't been coming out. Where the hell is the new Hellblade game? Like, what's going on with this? But I can at least give Microsoft a pass, a slight pass, where at least they try to, like, they know their shortcomings, but they try to make it as friendly to gamers as possible. Like, you play an Xbox, you get an Xbox Series X, I can play my original Xbox 360 game, Xbox One game. These are all free backwards compatible games, right? Like for free, right? I can put in my disc and play it. If I don't have the disc, I can buy it online. But for the most part, if you already own these games, you can play it for free. PlayStation is like, you can put PS4 games. Oh, that's exactly what I want to do. Just play PS4 games on my PS5. What about your PS1 and my PS2 or my PS3 games? You know, like I love Uncharted. Like Uncharted is my favorite
games ever, dude.
Yeah, PS2 like No, PlayStation 2 and Super Nintendo are like tied for my favorite consoles of all time. PlayStation 2 had some of the best games. Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, God of War 1, God of War 2, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, like Final Fantasy 10. Like I can go on for years with the PlayStation 2 games. We want to be able to play those games. I don't want to have to sign up for your stupid ass PlayStation Now or PlayStation Plus in order to play these games. I should be able to pop in my disc. Yeah. I should be able to go pop in my disc. But this is how anti-consumer they are. They know they don't make no money if someone pops in their disc. Right? So they want you to pay this monthly subscription for shit. You know?
Yeah.
It's like they're sitting there fighting like we can't compete with Call of Duty. Bullshit. I'm telling you right now, if you actually tried, you could pull out a Killzone or a SOCOM game or a Resistance game that can rival Call of Duty. You have to put in the effort to do that.
Yeah.
You know, like back when Modern Warfare 4 came out, or Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare on the 360 and PS3, Halo was the king of FPSs. But then you had Killzone competing with that, and Call of Duty wasn't the phenomenon that it was. Now you got comfortable because Call of Duty was the best-selling game and second best-selling game on your console last year. And now you're like, well, we're getting this money, and we're not even making this game. So you're getting comfortable. That's why you're trying to fight it. You know, like instead of them making a new Uncharted game, like, no, we're just gonna remaster the Last of Us game and charge $70. You know, and they're doing the same thing with Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon's a fantastic game. It doesn't need to be remastered and charge $70. Like Horizon, you can put in your PS5. There is an update for the PS5 to give it 60 frames per second. You don't need to remaster this game, or they like to say remake, but it's not a remake, and charge $70. There's no way, man. It's like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's just so many other games that could use that kind of attention. You know what I mean? There's so many other games that you could, beloved games that could use that attention, and you're wasting it on things that came out 5 years ago. What about 10, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Why not remaster those? You know what I mean? It's messed up, man. It's messed up.
There's so many great Sony exclusive games, and I used to fall on that sword too, where people were like, Sony has better games. I used to be like, yeah, man, they do. And then when you sit there and you think about it, like, do they really? Because we've been playing the same games for the past 10 years. You know, it's like, like they did Uncharted 4, right? And then they did the Lost Legacy, which I really liked. It was a nice 5-hour campaign. And then when the PS5 came out, what did they do? They remastered it. It's like, can you guys do something else? Do you guys have any more tricks up your sleeve other than just remastering this shit? Like I don't know. They just really, really got comfortable, And
Oh yeah.
Jim Ryan, who's in charge of Sony over here in the United
Mhm.
States, he
Yeah.
even said nobody likes playing old games. That's the reason why he doesn't make these games backwards compatible. Where Microsoft and Phil Spencer's like, we want the Xbox to be like PC. Whereas
Yeah.
any game that worked 20 years ago will still work today. Now, the only
Dope.
reason why not everything is backwards compatible is because there's licensing issues with these companies. But
Mhm.
once they get Activision, they're going to have the entire Activision library that's going to be backwards compatible, you
Yeah.
know? And
Oh
that's
boy.
what Microsoft is trying to do, much like Sony when Sony bought, or yeah, when Disney bought Fox. They didn't
Mhm.
buy Fox to put Fox out of business. They bought Fox because they wanted that library and those IPs for
Right.
Disney Plus. Microsoft wants the activate. They don't care if Call of Duty stays on PlayStation because they
Right.
just want it on Game Pass to build their library and make
Mhm.
Game Pass their Disney Plus. You know,
Right.
so
They're
yeah,
in two different worlds as far as what
yeah,
they're trying to do for the future, man.
yeah. Sony is very hardware driven, right?
Mhm.
Where Microsoft is very
Cloud.
subscription, yeah, cloud and subscription, because
Yeah.
everything that Microsoft does, like Microsoft Word and all that, those are like, I remember back in the day, you buy Photoshop or Microsoft Word or Microsoft
Mhm.
Suite or whatever, it,
Mhm.
you pay one time, you go to the store, pay 50
Mhm.
bucks and you have it as long as you have that disc. Now
Right.
it's a monthly subscription because they want to get in a
Yeah.
subscription based business. Same
Yeah.
thing with Game Pass,
Mhm.
right? Sony and Microsoft are fighting two completely different fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
and they're not trying to put Sony out of business. Well, Sony's so far ahead, they're not going to be put out of business anyway. It's just, I think Sony's argument with the FTC and the
Mhm.
CMA is just, it's laughable. It's like
Right.
you're being hypocrites, and it's not you're not being accurate. You're not telling the whole truth. Call of Duty is not going to put you out of business. You know?
Yeah. Well, with how everything went down with Sega, and how kind of PlayStation was the one that well, no, I mean, they had a part in why Sega was dethroned, but
Yeah,
now Sega just
a
makes
big part.
games, and
Yeah.
which is totally fine. Like I said, if Sony stopped selling consoles, I'd be totally fine with that. I'd go out and get an Xbox. I just want their games. That's
Well,
all. I just want their games.
I do think Xbox is going to stop selling consoles at some point.
Right on, yeah.
I think maybe not at the end of this generation. Maybe they got
Mhm.
one more generation of consoles, and then
Yeah.
I think Microsoft is going to be a first party only company or a third
Mhm.
party company,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Whereas you want to play Xbox, you'll have like a little device you stick in the back of your TV and it just streams it to XCloud, or you
Mhm.
can download like something like that. I think it's going to be more
Yeah.
of a software company, much like Sega is,
Yeah.
because what Sony and a lot of people don't understand is that all these companies take a loss on the hardware, right?
Right.
Every
Yeah.
time they sell a PlayStation 5, Sony loses money. Same thing with
Right.
Xbox,
Yep.
right? These consoles cost way more than what they sell because they hope
Yep.
to make the money back in the software. And that's
Right.
another reason why Sony is fighting for Call of Duty, because
Mhm.
they don't make Call of Duty. Activision does, but they
Right.
get a percentage of that sale as well as
Mhm.
having the marketing rights and all that. So it's
Mhm.
basically free money. The reason why
Yep.
Nintendo is so good, because Nintendo software outsells every software.
Yeah.
Like that, and people don't believe me. Like no,
Mm.
I guarantee you,
Yeah.
Pokemon outsells God of War. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe outsells any PlayStation game in the history of PlayStation.
Because
Like
it's
that's just
family oriented, and
yeah,
people with families, but
yeah,
Sony and Xbox, they're more
high end,
adult driven. Yeah.
yeah, high end.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just completely two different markets, or I mean,
Mhm.
no, it's the same market. It's just
Yeah.
each company goes about things a different way. You have
Mhm.
Xbox, who's more about the subscription and live
Mhm.
and streaming. You have
Yeah.
Sony, who's kind of the traditional, trying to keep
Right.
on to that traditional format, and then you have
Mhm.
Nintendo, which every console they have, they try to do this new gimmick with, but they
Mhm.
always have their games are always fun and enjoyable to play. Right,
Right.
Last of Us is good, but I wouldn't say it's fun and enjoyable. It's pretty dark and horrendous,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
each one of these companies has their own way to look at things,
Mhm.
and yeah, like you mentioned, Sony put Sega out of business. There's no
Mhm.
way to say it, right?
Yeah.
So like Dreamcast came out, PlayStation
Mhm.
2 came out like a year
Yep.
later, and it
It was
completely just
done
put
deal.
Sega out of it was over at that point,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
So I think Sony needs to stop playing the victim here, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's like the white people that come over to America and kill all the Indians, take over their country, and they want to play the victims. It's like, really, you kind of started this war, bro. Like, you started this. That's right. Sony's nothing but white colonizers.
Oh man. I'm not gonna touch the political stuff. I'm not gonna do that. I ain't doing that. Oh man, but yeah, no, it's what you're saying is, they're crying wolf. They're punching down and claiming that they're the ones being attacked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so I don't know if you're looking at the comment section, but this is what I'm
Mm.
talking about when it comes to fanboys. Monster Paradise. PlayStation has always kicked Xbox ass. Xbox fans won't admit that. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to these blind loyalty fanboys who don't look at things any other way but looking at through their lens of fandom, right? First of all,
Mm.
your statement is completely inaccurate. First of all, when the PlayStation 3 came out, the PlayStation 3 got smashed by the Xbox 360, obliterated by the Xbox 360. Sony came out, they were arrogant. They tried to charge $500 to $600 for these two different consoles with a different processor and everything. The machine was hard to even manufacture or play games. That's one reason why it's not backwards compatible. And then Microsoft came out with the 360, which was like $200 cheaper, played almost the same games, and had a much better online experience. You couldn't even voice chat on the PS3. Okay. And it completely destroyed the PlayStation 3. That's why when the PS4 came out, they changed everything that they did with the PlayStation 3. But keep on going on with your fanboyism.
You want to know what's funny is that I
What's
didn't
that?
even know I can see the comments, bro. And I was going through them, and Zeke the Wise is spitting facts. He says Momoa is going to become Lobo, and I'm 100% in agreement with
Yeah,
you, bro.
probably. Yeah.
With what they're doing, the multiverse, yeah, he's going to be Lobo. Tag on. What's up, everybody? I didn't even see you guys in here. Sorry, I didn't know this book was here. But yeah,
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
no, it's just that's what I'm saying. Like when I talked earlier about the DC fans and the Marvel fans, and then the PlayStation fans and the Xbox fans, it's like these people that just plant their flag in and say like
mhm,
it's this or no nothing. Those are, I'm sorry to say, y'all idiots. You're idiots. You have to be able to look at everything objectively and get to the real meat and potatoes of what the situation is. Like
yeah,
everybody's like, oh, Henry Cavill, but like I explained earlier, like if you break it down to why, then it's not that hard to understand. You know what I mean? Same thing with
yeah,
PlayStation.
yeah. And I mean, in my honest opinion, um, you know, people go for PlayStation for totally different reasons that they go for
Mm-hmm.
Xbox. Everybody
Yeah,
has their own, you know, but I think it's productive if we don't get caught up on this was
yeah,
better, that one's better. They're unique in their own ways. I buy for a PlayStation because I like their games. Nothing against Xbox, you know, but I like PlayStation's first party games.
yeah.
That's just me,
Well,
and I
for
won't crap on
me,
anybody who goes out and gets an Xbox. You know what I
for
mean?
for me, I always so I grew up with PlayStation. I mean, I'm an old guy. I'm almost 40 years old. So I grew
Yeah.
up with Nintendo, but I
Hmm.
was there when PS1 came out. I bought PS2, PS3, PS4, all day
Yep.
one purchases for me.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so I consider myself a pretty big Sony fan, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you don't sit there and just go with them because
Hmm.
you're loyal to them. That's how
Right.
Nazi Germany happened, people. It's like, I'm German. I'm going to join Hitler because I'm German. No, think for yourself. You could be a fan of something, but if that company is treating you dirty and having
Hmm.
shady business practices,
Yeah.
you don't continue to support them. I felt
Yeah.
once Phil Spencer took over Microsoft, the Xbox division, after Dan Matrick was like, buy something else if you don't like it. But once he got fired or quit, and then Phil Spencer came in, and Phil Spencer was like, no, we're taking this back to basics. We're making everything backwards compatible. We're going to do Game Pass. We're going to make sure you can play this on your console. I was like, man, as a gamer, that's awesome that I can take my Knights of the Old Republic on the original Xbox and play it on my Xbox Series X. Man, I really wish I could play Metal Gear Solid 4 on my PS5, but you can't, So I started looking at some of that, but I love the PlayStation controller. Like, going back to the original PlayStation 1 controller, I like the analog sticks down at the bottom of the controller. I don't really like the Xbox layout of the controller. I like the IPs for Sony and everything, but at the same time, don't sit there and fuck me and don't have the common courtesy to not give me dinner.
Yeah.
It's like no, just be honest if you're gonna fuck me, because Jim Ryan is fucking people and he's trying to play the victim, and it's like, come on, bro, who are you trying to fool here? Right? We know the real reason why you want to keep Call of Duty. You don't give a shit about me or any of these people watching. You care about your bottom dollar and being proud. Right. If you had it your way, you crooked son of a bitch, every game would be a PlayStation exclusive, because you go out and sign exclusivity contracts. So that,
and if I had it my way, I'd want all their games to be accessible to Xbox. I've said this. I've been hitting the roof of my car on my way home saying, why in the hell can't they just come together and just open it all the way up?
Who was last to the party with crossplay? Who was last to the party for crossplay? Sony. Sony's like, hell no, if we do crossplay, ain't nobody gonna buy a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's more Sony anti-consumerism. That's what that's Sony's anti-consumer. And thank you, Carmelo. You're right. Twisted Metal. We didn't get no new Twisted Metal games. Like, all these IPs,
They're
IPs.
making a series though.
Well,
they're making a Twisted Metal series.
Yeah, but I can't play it.
Looking forward to. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, first of all, after that Halo series, I don't have no faith in series until I see it. Last of Us was fantastic, but that was like a rare occurrence. But like, let's keep seeing what happens.
Yeah. This one comment right here, Carmelo Smith. I think The Flash is going to be the best superhero movie of the year, and a top 5 DC movie. I 100% agree with you. Like, when that trailer came out, as many people as were hyped for that, dude, it was insane.
Yeah,
it looks gonna be good. It looks so damn good, bro. I'm sorry.
It's gonna be good,
even with what's going on with Ezra Miller.
But the average person on the street don't know what the hell's going on with Ezra Miller. They don't care. Like that dude's a psychopath. But I remember when James Gunn said that, well, there's a chance we might keep Ezra Miller around as the Flash. And the reason why he said there's a chance, he wants to see how the box office is going to be with the Flash. Same thing with Aquaman.
Right.
They want to see what the box office is going to be, before they give you any confirmation of recasting or anything. And people are like, well, how can you keep Ezra Miller after everything he's done but fire Henry Cavill? Dude, the average person on the street doesn't know what what Ezra Miller did. They don't follow this shit. He doesn't know he chokeslammed bitches in bars and stuff. Henry Cavill was let go because of the 500 different reasons why I explained in the earlier of the stream that I'm not going to repeat again. But there was many different reasons why Henry Cavill was let go. Ezra Miller, again, is going to come to the box office. If Aquaman 2 flops like Shazam and Black Adam, they will recast Aquaman. Jason Momoa go on and play Lobo. If the Flash fails, then guess what? It's the reboot part of the movie anyway. It doesn't matter if they recast him or not.
Yeah. Freaking this other Waz 007, Alexandra Daddario should be cast as new Wonder Woman. Now,
no.
The reason I don't agree with that, she has the look, but she doesn't have the build. Neither does Gal Gadot.
No, Gal Gadot does not have the build.
Right. I gave her a pass just because the movie did well, and I like the movie. But if I had my if I could have my perfect Wonder Woman, this might seem like out of the realm for everybody here, but I would be looking at the bodybuilding community for, a Wonder Woman build woman, and have her come in and read off read the script. You know what I'm saying? That's my personal opinion. these women are way too scrawny to play a Wonder Woman. Let's get a well
Uh,
built, strong looking woman in there to play Wonder Woman because that's how she
uh,
is in the comics. You know what
what's
I
her
mean? But that's
name?
just me.
What's her name? No, Alexandra Daddario. She looks weird anyway. Like her eyes looks like she's just staring into my soul, and she is way too small, both short and skinny,
Mhm.
to play Wonder Woman. We do got a super
I
chat coming back from Matt 1306.
bloody
Thank you so much.
roar. Oh my
The
god,
biggest comeback game I want is Bloody Roar. I played Bloody Roar on PlayStation. Yeah,
bro, that was the best game ever. Because I mean, even as kids, we loved animals, and you give me a game where I can transform into a tiger or a wolf, bro. I'm all in on that. That
you
was
know
one
what
of
I
my
want?
favorite games growing up.
I
Huh?
want Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver.
Oh, yes, yes, that was a good one. That was one of their biggest titles at the time. I want to say, didn't it come out on the PS1 or
Yeah,
PS2?
PS1.
Dude, they really see talk about redoing games. Dude, they have such a catalog of games that they could redo, but they're focusing on. I don't know why. I don't know why they're doing this. Because Soul Reaver, Bloody Roar, those two right there, I'd be in freaking heaven, bro. Heaven.
Yeah,
Those games are awesome.
yeah.
But we can't.
Because it's not the Last of
Yeah.
Us God of War, man. No, and
Yeah.
and Waz, just let you know, Gina Carano can't act, so no.
Yeah, you just it was one of her first movies that she was in where she didn't have a lot of dialogue, but she was kicking ass. Yeah, she could definitely go into a role like that. Plus, she's thicker than a Snicker right now, so I don't know if she has the build for it. Like the way she's shaped
Thicker than a
now, I
Snicker.
absolutely love. Yeah, I absolutely love her build now. Give me, you know, that build over, a Wonder Woman type build. But she doesn't have the build anymore. She's you know,
Thicker than a Snicker. Yeah.
enjoying her semi retirement right now. She's still doing stuff, just not really as active as she was.
She got fired from Disney, man. So
Yeah.
she's just chilling at the convention scene. She's just chilling at the convention scene.
Yeah.
Sly Cooper's another game that they can
Yes.
make.
Yeah.
So
I
many,
thought
so many games, man.
there was a rumor that they were gonna redo Sly Cooper 3. But
Yeah,
that was just a rumor. They had no, and the hype around it once it came out, once people found out that it was just a rumor and they weren't thinking about doing it, dude, that should let them know it's time to look at our back catalog and redo those games for our current consoles. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I don't know. I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
throw in a 5-minute warning, guys. 5-minute warning. Then we're gonna wrap it up. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just want them to focus on something, man. That's I swear to God, if I hear the title "Last of Us" one more time, I'm gonna shove my head through a window. Last of Us and God of War, bro. I'm like, Jesus,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
Jesus.
And now you got God of War spin-offs with Atreus that are probably gonna happen. They haven't said anything about a DLC coming out for God of War, but I assume the next game that they're gonna do is let Atreus take the lead on this. They ended it pretty well with Kratos on the last game.
It won't sell though. You need
Yeah, I
Kratos on
don't
that
know.
cover, bro. You need Kratos.
Yeah,
Because let's not forget, dude, they killed Kratos at the end of God of War 3. And they brought that
they
motherfucker
did.
right back.
That's
Like
hilarious.
they killed that motherfucker, dude, shoved a sword in his ass. Like he was dead, right? And they know they can't do a God of War game without Kratos, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
And it's like if I'm a talk about that real quick, like whenever the 2018 God of War came out, I got hardcore into the Norse deal, and coming to find out, like Kratos is actually a uh a character in Greek mythology. You know what I'm saying? But he's
Mhm.
he's not the Kratos that we know. He was a Titan, and he was escorting defeated Titans by the gods to get their punishment or whatever, which I thought was super interesting. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
way that they brought like the Norse mythology around was super creative. Like what they
Yeah.
did with Fenrir, I thought was so dope. I was like, how are they going to incorporate that into the story, and they did a great job, dude. They did so good. I got to give them that. I love what they did with it, but I would still like to see a Jack and Daxter, a Twisted Metal. You know, I would still
Yeah,
like to see those games rebooted or made for
yeah,
the
get those
PS5
IPs.
console.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, look, if they tell me they're making God of War versus Jesus and Moses, like I might pick it up, man. But like, I don't know. I'm just kind of over God of War right now. Like,
yeah.
can you imagine like Moses just walking with the Jews crossing the Red Sea that's parted, and at the other end of the Red Sea is Kratos. He just like
Oh
Spartan
my
kicks his
god,
ass back to the other side. Like,
goodness gracious. You wilding now.
like I would pay $70 for that Sony, you know.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
But
Right on, right
yeah.
on.
No, I am not playing the Resident Evil 4 remake, Nick. I told
Mm,
you, I'm not paying $70 for a game that I can just play right now. Look, I understand that the remake is like the graphics are better, the gameplay is it's a remake, right? So it's the same game but remade.
mhm,
It's not like The Last of Us
mhm.
Part 1, which is just the same game. I'm gonna keep throwing that shade forever. But I if I want to play Resident Evil 4, I can just pop in my Resident Evil 4 into my Xbox Series X and play it at 60 frames per second in high definition. I don't need to go buy a $70 remake. And Resident Evil 4 is overrated anyway. We all know Resident Evil 3 is the best Resident Evil, right? So I'll just play Resident Evil 3, $15. I already own the game anyway. So yeah, it's just like, nah, I never liked Resident Evil 4. Like everybody's on Resident Evil 4's dick. It's so good, blah, blah, blah. Like y'all need to get Leon Kennedy's dick out of your mouth and go play something else, man. Like nah, y'all crazy. But no, I'm not playing Resident Evil 4. I will wait for I will play it when it gets down to $30. I will pick it up then. I'm not paying $70 for it though. So yeah,
I'm
that's my
probably gonna still pick up Forspoken. As bad as people said the reviews were, I got to see it for myself with that one.
dude.
But
I
this
had it for two. What month are we in? April. February, March. I had it for
yeah,
3
April, I
months
want to say
now.
it's April 1st, or no,
Yeah,
it's the 31st of
the 31st. Tomorrow's April. So I had it since
yeah.
January, and I still have not
Hmm.
played it. My girl bought it for me for my birthday, and it's like
Yeah,
one of those things, man. It's like you kind of want to try it, but you heard too
yeah,
many bad things about it. So
yeah,
I'm just like, which is weird because I really like the actress. Like I think she's very attractive. You know, like
very
I
yeah.
watched the Resident Evil show just because she was in it. You
Hmm.
know, because God knows it wasn't Resident Evil, so I was just watching it because she was in it. But like, I
Yeah,
don't know if I want to play the game just because she's in it too. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm just kind of like,
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right, man. I guess that's all we got. You got anything before you want to head out?
Um, no, I'm good. I saw a comment that was talking about the giant snake, Jormungandr from the God of War, but nah, I'm not gonna elaborate too much more on that. I'm done geeking out on this stuff. I'm
Uh,
done.
Call me when he fights Jesus Christ. I will be there. And then when he arises, Kratos will be waiting over him. It'll be dope as hell. That's the sequel. So all right, guys, we're gonna head out. I got Dark Fox's YouTube channel in the description box below. So go and actually subscribe to his channel. Let's build his channel up a little bit. Dude's very knowledgeable when it comes to these things. Otherwise, I would not have him come back on the show again. So last week was the test run. Now we're like, okay, you're good. But yeah, I have his YouTube channel in the description box below. So just go ahead and click on his channel and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Sony, make that God of War Jesus thing happen. You'll have a friend of me. Later, guys.